Hey guys. Okay, we're going to begin studying The Giver by Lois Lowry. So you should already have a copy of that text. And this is a dystopian novel. So I wanted to take a few minutes and talk to you about what dystopian actually means. First of all, dystopia is the opposite of utopia. So if you've ever heard the word utopia, that means a perfect society. It's created by humans, it's impossible. Everything in a utopian society operates perfectly. There's never any sickness, there's never anything wrong, it's always just perfect. And of course, we all know that's impossible, but you may read books that describe a utopian society. So the novel that we're actually reading, The Giver, is set in a dystopian society. And this is a society where everything is as bad as it can be. It's the result of an idea or an event that would just backfire. It was just bad. Dystopias are the opposite of utopias. So the society that we're going to be reading about in The Giver is a dystopia society. The characteristics of a dystopian society, propaganda, and this is media or advertisement, propaganda is, and it's used to control the citizens that live in that society. The information, independent thought, and freedoms are restricted. It's very strict. In a dystopian society, nobody has any freedoms. A person or idea is worshipped by the citizens of the society. They're under constant surveillance, and usually they have a fear of the outside world, or they don't even understand the outside world or know anything about it. Citizens are dehumanized. The natural world is either banished and distrusted or not even mentioned at all. Citizens conform to expectations, and they're usually uniform. Everybody's expected to do the same thing. Nobody's allowed to be an individual because individuality is viewed as bad. You can't be your own person. Society is an illusion of a perfect utopian world. Okay, so conflicts that you're going to see in a dystopian novel is some kind of disaster. It's usually a result of some kind of disaster or apocalypse, or it was supposed to be a utopia, but it went wrong. The protagonist, meaning the main character in the story of a dystopian novel, often feels trapped and is struggling to escape. He or she may question the systems of the society or the rules. They may really feel like something is wrong about the way they live, and they try to help the reader recognize the negative aspects of that dystopian society. We're not going to talk much about theme right now. We'll come back to this a little bit later, but dystopian themes, remember that's the lesson that you take away from a novel. We learned about theme last week. So a theme in a dystopian society might have to do with government control. It might even talk about the importance of family, identity in general, survival, or change. Dystopian novels usually include elements of contemporary society, and they're seen as a warning or a cautionary tale, like what do you not do, what don't you do in society. Now, in this particular unit, we're going to start out with reading chapter 1 and chapter 2 this week, and you're going to be asked to cite evidence. So I want to talk to you about what citing evidence actually means. And when I say cite, I mean C-I-T-E, citing evidence. That means that you use evidence to support your ideas. So good readers pay attention to what they're reading. And when they're asked a question, then they answer it in writing, obviously. And when you answer in writing, good writers use evidence from the story to support your ideas. So you're going to be asked questions from chapter 1 and chapter 2 of The Giver. And in most instances, it will say, cite your evidence from the text. That means that you need to go to the text to tell how you know that. And some examples that you may want to come back to are found here. Like, according to The Giver, and then you would insert a quotation that you read, and then give the author and page number. That's an example of citing text evidence. So you may answer the question and say, this idea is supported by Lois Lowry when she says, and then you give the quotation and page number. So you can't just pull answers out of your head when you're citing text evidence. You know the answer based on what you read, but you need to use that evidence to support your answer. So the questions that you're asking, sometimes that you're asked in this assignment, may have multiple parts that you have to answer. They're not one-word answers that you can give. So you need to be very careful that when you answer these questions, that you read what you're being asked to do carefully. You need to be really careful that you answer the entire question. So it might ask you to do two things, and it may ask you to cite evidence. So you can't just give an answer and not cite your evidence and get the whole question correct. So be very careful as you're working through this. We're going to be working with the giver for a few weeks, so you need to keep up with your reading. Make sure that you read in entire chapter 1 this week for these first, and then chapter 2. So this week you will read chapter 1 and chapter 2 and complete all the assignments that go along with that. Okay? Let me know if you have any questions. I really hope you guys enjoy this book.